Kenshin da. Kiro Kenshin. Aura Changer. It's morphin' time. Hello, this is Soundout here, and on today's video we're taking a look at the Memorial Edition Aura Changer from Gosei Sentai Dairanger. Now this is the next in the Memorial Editions. They've been cranking these things out. This one in particular is a sort of rework of the Super Sentai Artisan Aura Changer, and I want to go over like kind of the differences there. I don't have one physically, but I have information because much like with the Magiranger video, big shout out to Psychos who are doing a lot of research on this video and making this happen. So if you're looking forward to this, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe and the notification bell so you don't miss out. Hit the hype button if it's available to you. But let's get to it. We got a lot to look at with the slightly confusing usage of the Aura Changer. Alright, so here we have the Aura Changer itself. If you've never seen this before, it's a two-part transformation device. We have the Aura Spreader here, which is kind of where all the electronic features are. It's got a nice design. I love the gold and black usage of it. And then kind of clear panel over what is a slot. This is pretty much how most of the sounds work. Like pretty much all the sounds come from this. And then you have the Aura Gatherer, which is the other side of it that allows for the transformation. And this one's got kind of the more interesting feature where you have this this key device that pulls out and then it inserts into the spreader and then you get the sound effects, which is pretty awesome. And then you can see it's decked out in stickers, just like the original. The ring part is now die-cast, and it has a pretty nice system where it does slide out, and then you can slide it. You can see there's a little bit of a loose fit. You can get it to plug tighter, and then you can also pull it tighter so it stays out. And kind of like when you're doing like your own like roleplay transformation, you can pull it, and then it locks in pretty good. So it has a good feel to it overall. Maybe a little bit looser than some previous versions, but if you wanted to like loosen or tighten it, that screw will kind of loosen and tighten the casing, which will help move it in case yours is a little bit tighter than mine is. Interestingly, we've seen the straps are kind of the same as what's been on a lot of Memorial devices lately, like the Liveman Twin Brace had these exact same straps. They're kind of generic, but they are at least at a good length for most wrists, which is nice to see. In terms of battery usage, we've got LR44s that are in the back here. It takes 3 of them into this section, and then the on-off switch is down here. But of course, let's go over some physical differences with previous releases, because Dairanger's popularity has meant that we've gotten quite a few releases of the Aura Changer over the years, and so I want to kind of touch upon what's different about them. So first things first, the Aura Changer was released in the original deluxe line. That one used an N-type battery, which is those small batteries that are shorter than AAA's, which is why kind of like the shape of the device is the way it is. That did have its own strap that was like had the Dairanger symbol on it, for example. And then there was just a single button inside the Aura Spreader. You would, of course, take the key and you'd put it in, and then it would just kind of light up and make a little beeping sound because it was 1992 and there wasn't like, you know, crazy stuff going on. But basically, everything was plastic. The die cast was new for this edition. And you could also like take the plastic cover off nice and easy if you wanted to just push the button without the other piece. And that was pretty much how the deluxe one worked. Now, a very similar version to this came out for Power Rangers with the Magna Defender morpher for Power Rangers Lost Galaxy. Now, Lost Galaxy wasn't adapting Dairanger, but they did want to give Magna Defender his own morpher. That wasn't just the sword like it was in Ginga Man, and so they just pulled the Dairanger Aura Changer for that. Couple of differences. Obviously, this does have a new sticker here that says Galaxy versus the Aura Changer sticker, but it pretty much works exactly the same. So stickers aside, it pretty much you put this in, and then it lights up and makes a sound, which I would want to show to you, but for some reason, even though I put fresh batteries in this, was not working. So it just kind of, just imagine a little beep beep sound when you put that in there. Nothing too crazy. The Memorial Edition obviously has a more robust sound palette. I've also found that this thing over time has locked up to where it just doesn't smoothly move. The other big thing you might notice with the Magna Defender morpher is the shape of it, right? And this is even the case on the show prop, because the show prop is just pretty much using the toy. But you can see that the shape is different. They've elongated this section. That's because they wanted to make it more consumer friendly in 1999 when Lost Galaxy was airing. So the batteries are your AAA batteries instead of your N-size batteries. And so they lengthened this part out to fit the AAA batteries in it. So you can kind of see the size difference there. And that's the reason for that, is because this uses a longer battery type than this originally did. Obviously, this now runs on a LR44 button cell batteries, so it's not a problem. But there's that. Also, we had the Lost Galaxy strap that was the same as the Transmorpher on both of these. Whereas, yes, we are on the generic strap for the Memorial Edition. Now, what about the Super Sentai Artisan release? So, thanks once again to Psycho-O's for these comparison pictures, because I didn't pick up the Super Sentai Artisan Dairanger set, because it was actually a set of the Aura Changer plus Kiba Changer for Kiba Ranger. So if you take a look at the Aura Spreader, you can see that they're pretty similar, all things considered. They're mostly, I think, the same mold, especially you can see where the battery part is, but they did move the power switch from the top to the side because the Memorial Edition adds a new button at the top. So because of that, they had to move the power switch. In terms of the Aura Gatherer, the other part, they're pretty much the same. They look almost identical to each other, and there's not too much differences there. You can also see, though, that we do have the generic strap with the Memorial Edition versus the more detailed Dairanger strap on the Super Sentai Artisan, but the Super Sentai Artisan strap is shorter, so it doesn't fit as big of a wrist. Now, in terms of actual sound effects, the Super Sentai Artisan was actually loaded with sounds of voice lines for the Dairangers. We don't get any voice lines in the Memorial Edition, as we're going to take a look at, and the reason for that might be because of the passing of Shishiranger's actor. It seems like when an actor passes away, they don't tend to put their audio into the roleplay toys anymore, so it might be a thing there. The other thing to note is that those voice lines were newly recorded by the actors for the Super Sentai Artisan release, and that was prior to the passing of Shishiranger's actor. So with all that out of the way, let's take a look at what the Memorial Edition has done with its sound effects to make it a more robust sound palette than the Super Sentai Artisan had. Even though it doesn't have the voice lines of the characters, they definitely added a lot more to this to bring it up to current Memorial standards. So for a lot of the sound effects part of this video, we will be focusing just on this piece of it, the spreader, because this thing pretty much only just shows up to activate a couple sounds in this. The majority of this is based on this part of the device. Of course, in order to turn it on and off, and this will become a problem later, you have to get below the strap to turn it on and off. So for now, I'm going to take the strap off because we're going to have to turn this thing on and off a whole lot, kind of frustratingly so. Okay, so as you can see, we got a nice white light. This thing does have a lot more LED lights. The original Super Sentai Artisan release and the Deluxe release was just a few multicolored LEDs. This has actually got a ton of light features in it. Now, there are a couple buttons here. There is a button up here, which we'll take a look at, and there's a button over here. And this button over here will not only activate the music for the actual show, but it will actually select which color ranger you want. So when you press this button, it will cycle through the different colors of the Dairangers. Then from here, once you select the color you want, you need to press this button here to lock it in as that is your ranger of choice. And then annoyingly, if you want to switch rangers, you have to turn it off and then turn it back on again. That is frustrating because with the other devices from Memorial Edition, you can switch rangers once it's on, even after you've done the transformation, whatever. This one, for some reason, will lock you into whatever color that is, and then you're stuck with that until you turn it off. Which, again, because the switch is down here and not, like, down over here, it makes it really hard. You have to take the whole thing off just to switch the ranger. But basically, once you have decided that that is the one you're using, you're going to hold down this button to lock in that choice. So now we got our ranger locked in. You can press this button on the side to do our music tracks. Music tracks are the theme song, roll call music, both versions, and the attack music. These are the same song selections as the Super Sentai Artisan, but that did contain the instrumental versions of the theme songs. So the fun part is that it does have a motion sensor in the device, so if you're trying to do the pose from the show, it will have nice swooshing sounds to get you ready for the transformation. So once we have that, we're going to pull out the Aura Gatherer, get that ready to go, and then we can do the first version of the transformation. So that's our normal version of the transformation, and then if we do it again, we'll get the abbreviated version. Okay, so now that we've gotten our transformation done, we're in Ranger form, this button will start to come into play. If you hold it down, you're going to get different sound effects. Now, some of these will be repeated per Ranger, and then some are specified for each Ranger. So the first thing we got is the roll call, which will be different for each of the Dairangers. So that's how we got that. Then the next thing is that we're going to have the personalized attack sound, which again is different for each Ranger. Now the next sound is the same with all 5 Dairangers, which is the Kiroku Bomber. This is like their finisher move type attack. So all 5 of them have the same exact sound lineup for this. We're just going to play it once, obviously, compared to the others. The next sound when we hold this down is going to be the individual mecha summoning for each of the individual Dairanger mecha. Obviously, different for each Ranger. And then after this, we're going to do the Ryuseo transformation, since that was their main mecha. And then after you do the Ryuseo transformation, you can shake the device and it'll do the Dairano transformation for the other mecha. Alright, and then if you want to de-transform out of being a Dairanger, you hold down the music button. And this is where you think you could de-transform and then switch Dairangers, but no, if you push the side button, it's just going to play the music on you. That is my least favorite thing about this device, is the fact that you have to turn it off, turn it back on, then you can switch to which Dairanger you want, then you have to hold the button down, lock it in place, and then make it happen. If it was just a little bit simpler, like you de-transform and then you could switch it, that would have been nice to have, especially because if you're wearing it on your wrist, you're going to be stuck with whichever one you did without having to take the whole thing off. And that's my last complaint on that front. Okay, so now we're going to go into the bonus modes. And so we got a couple different options here. So first of all, we're going to go into the dash tension mode. This is kind of a extra bonus sound, basically. And so what we're going to do is we're going to hold down the BGM button here, and we're going to hold down the key power button, and we hold those together, it'll switch the modes. So then from here, we're going to shake the device, and then we'll get the special sound. Now, the interesting part here is once you do that sound, it resets back to the base mode, and then you have to go into the holding down the buttons to get to the second one, which is called the Heavenly Treasure Lili Jewels Transformation Mode, which I'm not 100% certain is where it's from, but it's at least a sound in here. And then the third mode, which is the white light, is going to be the attack mode. And this is going to get you sound effects as if you're like punching or attacking if you're a Dairanger. And this will be character specific. So with Rearranger mode, which we're in now, the red mode, you're going to have to hold down the key button and you'll get some extra sounds for an attack from episode 25. So then the last mode in this is, of course, the transformation with the roll call and the music. And so this is a feature of like all the Memorial Editions at this point. So the way this one works is, of course, overly complicated. So you're going to hold down the BGM button. That'll give you a little preview of what you're going to get. And then it'll be locked in. Then you transform. And then after transforming, you hold down the key power button. And then you get the roll call. So let's do it. Alright, there's one last mode in this, which is kind of fun. It's basically to replicate the henshin from episode 1 of the series, which was a little bit different than how it became later in the show. And the best way I found to do this is to start fresh, because anytime, if you're already in a transformation, it just won't work correctly. But basically, you know, you get your Ranger set up, good to go, and then we can go through it. So when it comes to this, you can do it in two ways. You can do it as just the episode 1 transformation on its own, or you could add in the music. So if you hold down the button and then it activates the music. But what we're going to do is we're going to hold down this button, which will give us some swooshing noise. So then now we have the swooshing noise. We swoosh it to get it ready for the episode 1 version of the transformation. So that's a pretty fun extra feature, and that is pretty much all the sounds in the Aura Changer that are available to us with usage, which, yeah, it's a little hard to follow sometimes, and that might be my biggest problem with it. So what do I think of the Aura Changer in total? A little mixed on it. I think it's cool once you figure out how to use it. One of the problems I have with it is it's not very intuitive. A lot of these devices, if you just kind of like turn them on, you can kind of figure them out. But to have to go, yeah, you have to select a color, lock the color in, then transform. Because I guess I didn't really show this. If you don't lock the color in, right, if you just like go, I want to be green, and then you just do this, like, nothing will happen. You have to hold this down first. Then things happen. It's very tricky. If you don't know that one little detail, you're kind of like, sort of lost. And that's kind of how I was, like, opening it up. What I like to do with these devices when I get them is I open them up and I'm like, all right, can I figure out what to do without looking at the instructions? Can I just intrinsically figure it out? And the answer on this one wasn't. I couldn't figure it out at first. It took a while. I had to, like, actually mess around with it and go, well, what's the order of events here? So there's that. There's also, you can't switch the Ranger colors without turning it off and turning it back on again, which I don't think I'd have a problem with if the power switch was, like, somewhere down here or on the side. But the fact it's underneath the strap because they added this button, it's very inconvenient. So that I don't appreciate. But other than that, I mean, it's pretty solid overall. It's got all your Memorial Edition features. It has a lot of the major attacks. It's got the mecha summoning sounds. It's got the roll call. It's got the music. You know, the usual stuff you'd expect. I don't think there's anything that's, like, revolutionary, right? Like, it's not like the Magifone, which has, like, every in-show code that has a sound. It's not like, I mean, the Twin Brace is kind of special because it's, like, that's, like, a older device. This one, it definitely, I think, is a toss-up between this and the Super Sentai Artisan. Though the Super Sentai Artisan had an error when it first shipped, and so the replacement version's the one that's better, but it's still less sounds. I think having the Ranger switching is still an improvement with the Memorial, but it is kind of an annoying feature to activate if you like switching, members on the fly, right? Like all the other devices I've reviewed so far, the Memorial line, you can switch it on the fly. You don't have to turn it off and turn it back on again. This is the only one that's been like that so far, and hopefully it's kind of like a unique case because it's using an existing mold, and so hopefully we don't have that in the future because it is kind of annoying to deal with. But other than that, that is pretty much my review of the Aura Changer. Let us know in the comments down below if we messed anything up. Special thanks again to Psycho-O's for helping out on research. It was a lot to try to figure out, like, what does this group of sound effects match? What does this group of sound effects do? Because the instruction manual mentions what some of them are, and then sometimes just leaves it vague. And so it's tricky to figure out these devices sometimes. At the depth of detail we provide to you here. And if you enjoy that, hit the like button and subscribe and the notification bell if you haven't already. Really do appreciate that. Join our Discord server if you want to continue conversation using the link below. Plus, you can join as a channel member and get perks like early access to videos. Let's give some special shoutouts to some of our channel members. Special shout out to all of our channel members, including these Captain Tier members: Adam Lasari, Adonis, Alex Wario94 Ashburn, Grateful Dead 7836, Q Rodriguez, Common Pikachu, Salvatore, Jamie's World, Ellen Retro, Swineass Terumo, KRSSPR103, and Brian Woodruff. Thank you all for your support of this channel, viewers and channel members alike. If you still wish, I'm on Blue Sky and Letterboxd at Soundout12. You can also find my awesome graphic designer on social media and Discord at DarkClaw643. And you can find Hero Club at HeroClub.com for tokusatsu interviews and more. And until next time, this is Soundout saying, Tenshinda!